What's up YouTube, DUEL here with another live duel from local. So on the right we have Kewl and on the left we have Shaddoll. So we're seeing my opponent start off with Kewl using the additional normal summon for Kewl getting into rotary, Rico getting into Mix getting into rotary. This is the downside of playing only like breakers, being an aggressive build. You'll see in a minute that my hand is not kind to me. So we're going to be going rotary, we're going to be Kewl, we're going to be stacking the top of the deck, we're going to be seeing every bit of knowledge in the hand. And unfortunately, with the breakers that I do play, I don't see many. So we see Shaddoll Fusion and Branding in High Spirits on this one. This is the first time my opponent's finding out that I'm actually on Shaddolls. So we banish Shaddoll Fusion, good choice. Bottom deck, the Branding in High Spirits, also a good choice. And then we look at my hand, and I've got Fallen Virtuous, I've got Schism, Dragon, Genius, and Hedgehog. So at this exact moment in time, I have no way to fuse whatsoever, bar setting a Schism and passing there. And there is no way that a set Schism survives the turn, because if you're the Kewl player, you probably make sure you go through Rico as a synchro material to destroy that. So we're going into Remix, and yeah, I think we've got Remix, we've got Track Maker, we're activating Kewl synchro here. I was half expecting a Zarlan, but we go for Loudness War, and obviously the Loudness War makes sense because the Loudness War kind of counters the Fallen Virtuous. So it then means that Fallen Virtuous makes it a little bit awkward to try and do anything with. And yeah, it's kind of, it's not ideal. Like, I'm just trying to like figure out how I make this work, because draw for turn, I don't think the draw was a fusion spell. I think it might have been a Branding High Spirits, which isn't so bad, but I guess we'll see in a minute. I kind of need it to be like super polymerization. So we activate Fallen Virtuous. We try and target the Loudness War, because obviously I can't target the other two cards. So I have to try and bait out the Loudness War. And yeah, so the Kewl synchro gets chained. This isn't going to be a very long duel. So we go for Mix. We make a second Loudness War, and I'm like, right, okay, I can't destroy either by card effect. I can't target anything by card effect. And then I'm pretty sure my hand was, it obviously wasn't a fusion spell. And I was just like, all right, scoop out, let's go game 2. So we're going to be going into game number 2. I get to go first this time, so we're going to start off with Branding High Spirits as early as we possibly can, revealing the Cartasia, and then sending the Grand Grignol, and then grabbing ourselves the Albion. So this is basically like an upstart with extra steps, because you deck thing a couple. But the only time I ever do this is if I've opened up Mathematician. If I've opened up Mathematician, then I kind of favour that over the Cartasia. Not too sure why. I think they kind of basically do the same job. The benefit of the Cartasia, though, is that even if your opponent interact, like if they imperm the Mathematician, and it obviously loses to everything, then it doesn't do anything. Whereas with Cartasia, you can only really stop it with an Ash Blossom, and even if they do, not an Ash Blossom, sorry, an imperm or a Veiler, and then if they do that, you still have it for during your opponent's turn. So maybe I need to just kind of favour the Cartasia more. So we're just using the Grista here. I'm just trying to figure out what targets I can go for. Obviously, I can use the Grista as the Shaddoll, and then I can use the Grand Grignol. I'm not sure why I went for the Shekanaga, if I'm being honest with you, because I feel like I should have banished. I didn't want to banish the Cartasia, but I feel like I definitely should have banished the Grand Grignol to get Construct. So I went with Lev Shaddoll, and well, I've got Lev Shaddoll. The idea behind this one is that I think I've got another Shaddoll monster in hand. I'm trying to remember like what my hands were like in these duels. So I wanted to keep the Cartasia in the graveyard so that I could add it back. My opponent obviously used the Bestial on Scramata, hoping to kind of stop what was going on, like stop the fusion summon. So anyway, we use Lev Shaddoll, send Inferno Evil, search out Void, the new Void spell, activate the Void spell. Apologies for the glare on this one. We were just sat in probably like the worst table on the field. Yeah, I don't think Shek was the right idea. This should have definitely been a construct. I think I might have just overthought it. But like banishing the Grand Grignol, I think the only reason I would have kept the Grand Grignol in there is if I was playing a target in the extra deck, which is probably what happened. Is I probably thought that there was one in there and just overthought the play. Should have just kept it simple. I don't know why I left the Albion so late either. I think I wanted to try and deck Finn first, I guess, maybe. A couple of interesting routes on this one. So we got the Hedgehog. The Hedgehog added. The Brandon High Spirits will not add back, so you can only do one of the effects per turn. But we do have Shaddoll Fusion. There's no extra dead monster on the field. We're going to use Shek and we're going to use Wendy. We're going to go into Wendy Kuru. We're then going to be able to trigger the Wendy, and we're going to be able to trigger... I can't even trigger the Shekanaga because there's nothing in the graveyard to add back. So I'm assuming that, again, there must have been a reason. There must have been a card in my hand that I couldn't use or didn't want to use or something. So we go Wendy Kuru. Wendy Kuru is going to set the aerial. I can activate the aerial to bring back Skamata or Grista. The other is I'm basically trying to work my way into Winder in the shortest of senses. And it looks like, so I use Wendy Kuru, they chain Harmonia, showing the 5. Not ideal, really, getting hit by the Harmonia. But Harmonia destroys the... Oh, it's Beast, sorry. Why did I put Beast? Anyway. Beast gets destroyed by Harmonia, I draw a card, Wendy Kuru gets returned. Good way of doing it, because then it means Wendy Kuru graveyard effect doesn't resolve. We add back Shaddoll Fusion. They know Schism that I added off of the Void spell, and we've got the Shaddoll Fusion. Going to banish the Void Unleashing. Going to grab ourselves the Decatrons. This is where the Decatron's going to come into play. Not like massively, it's probably a little bit late. I should have, if I'd done this before activating the Wendy Kuru, but then I guess I normal summon the Decatron, they chain Harmonia really. So I had some very interesting plays I've decided to do on this one. Don't know why. Crazy moments. Rush of blood to the head. Let's put it down to that one. Setting 2. I guess we're going to the end phase because Magnemite's going to resolve, grabbing a second Harmonia. They know that Schism. They don't know that Schism is one of the sets, but you can make a very good educated guess that that is exactly what's going to be there. So interesting. We use JJ Coulton to send Harmonia. We're going to chain the Schism. Now, obviously, the idea is if they special summon, that's their one special summon. So chaining the Schism. The other benefit as well that a lot of people overlook, that Schism has a on resolution effect that you get to send a monster of the same attribute of the fusion summon that you make. So using Beast and then basically any other Shaddoll monster. I did add the Cartesia back, right? I'm pretty sure I did. God, if I missed that. So we go into Winder. Winder sends the Magnemite, but now there isn't a monster on the field strong enough. So now it really kind of comes down to this, and then the special summon would be the lock, but then that would be it. But luckily, obviously, you can add off of JJ Coulton. You don't have to special summon. You can choose to add it. So I think they're just confirming that counts. I was just like, yeah, that would count towards the special summon. And they're like, okay, well, maybe I'll add it instead of summoning it. And okay, so just trying to figure that out. And then, I mean, the add is definitely the right way. I feel like, to me, what should have happened here is that you go normal summon. If you use your additional normal summon off of JJ, which is fine, so we add Rico instead. You'd go additional normal summon down Rico search out Mix, and then just sync into RS, right? Because then that would be your one special summon, is RS. You then use Mix to destroy... is it Mix or Rico? Rico to destroy one of the set cards, probably the face down card. RS can then negate Winder, and then you're free to go off. So it just kind of comes down to if there's a Rotary in the hand or not. So you'd have to have Rotary and Mix, otherwise you just end on an RS, but even then the RS would still be pretty strong. So yeah, we're going for additional normal summon of Mix. Mix grab, oh, well, here you go then. We grab Q instead. Maybe there already is a Rotary in hand. Okay, we're going to use Ghost Ogre and Mix for Remix. Yeah, interesting route. I still feel that we're going for an RS, negate the Winder, and then you can just pop off. Probably would have been the better approach on this one. And I think it was a bit of a mix. They kind of thought that there was a tuner in the graveyard, so that they could then attack over the Winder, because Remix becomes 3k that way. But even though I still think RS would have been stronger as well, because RS could then destroy the Winder. Very, very interesting approach. But anyway, I think it's just a misplay on that one. Everyone sees Window and then kind of forgets, or not, yeah, it kind of just like, just seeing Window messes with people's brains sometimes. We saw it in the Sky Striker matchup as well, like kind of a misunderstanding of its context. Reminds me of Invoked Kaliga, because Kaliga used to be, like, its old word and used to be a pain in the backside. Anyway, normal summon the Decatron. So, oh yeah, because I normal summon Mathematician. Yeah, Mathematician last turn, so. Decatron's effect, here comes the Harmonia. Doesn't really bother me, I guess, because I've got the ability, so Harmonia will come down and destroy it. It obviously can't destroy Winder, because Winder can't destroy a card effect. Woo! Destroy the Decatron, still resolve the Decatron, that doesn't get negated. And we sent the Pegasus Agnister in the graveyard, so we're sending the Deviati. Again, just a deck thing now, like you don't want to be seeing Deviati in the hand as you make your plays further forward. And at this point here, it's all about my first special summon being something that is going to be effective, like ideally Construct, because then Construct can run through most of these monsters. Also on the downside as well, with Decatron now being in the graveyard, the remix is now 3k. So we activate Shaddoll Fusion. My opponent's got monsters on the field. I have to go Construct here, right? Surely I do. And if I don't, very, very silly on my behalf. Because you'd go Construct. Construct would send. So we're going to send Dragon and has to be Cartasia. Unless I've got the Cartasia in... no, because if I've got Cartasia in hand, I should definitely use it in hand unless I get like Blinkered and don't do it. But you, like in theory, what you'd do is you'd go Construct. Dragon would destroy. I don't think I'll do it. Oh my god, what am I doing? I go Genius. Why do I go Genius? Oh, okay, and I go Aerial. We're going for Mech. Oh, that's right, because I want to get rid of the Pegasus Agnister. So if I destroy anything with Dragon, the Pegasus Agnister can be a bit awkward. That makes more sense. I know, there is method in the madness sometimes. So Aerial's just targeting 3 cards in the graveyard. Genius is trying to negate the remix so that it doesn't gain the 1500, so it's not a 3k beta. And then Dragon's going to try and destroy JJ Cooltune. So the method in the madness on that one. We do get like a bit of a judge call in a second just to kind of confirm, because like the question was, can you, if I don't know why we left it to this chain, but the question was, if in this chain we had a card that could negate Winder, could we activate Remix to tribute off here? So like in this, so we've got Chain Link 1, Shaddoll Monster in the grave, Chain Link 2, Shaddoll Monster, Chain Link 3, Shaddoll Monster. As Chain Link 4, could we then go Remix, attempting to summon, and then Chain Link 5, something like a Forbidden Drop Clear, a Forbidden Crown, or a Infinite Impermanence? The answer is no, because obviously you need to be able to resolve your cards on activation, because I think like the Remix is mandatory to summon. It's not optional to summon. So you have to be able to resolve your cards on activation, which at this exact moment in time they can't resolve it because the one special summon was the Harmonia. So we're just confirming that basically whatever card was in play that could have negated the Winder, it could have and should have been done prior to this. Which if it was, it would have been very, very sticky, because that spoiler now, it's an imperm. That imperm would have shut off Winder and shut off Schism, so I wouldn't have been able, and I also couldn't chain the Schism because the Schism's already, I've already used my special summon in the form of the Mesh, which I still can't fully understand why I didn't go to, I'm paying 800 off the Mesh, by the way, to grab the Shaddoll Fusion. Can't understand why I didn't go Construct, because Construct then just doesn't care about Remix's effect, and it just punches over Remix. Winder then punches over Rico, which is exactly what I'm doing with Mesh here. Like, the only benefit I've got, I guess, is the Shaddoll Fusion, which is quite useful because then it means I can Winder during my opponent's turn if they do stop my Schism. So, don't know. Method in the madness, I guess, or just keeping in mind as well, actually, this was the first duel of the day, so my brain is like not fully switched on. Not that's an excuse, but round 1 was always a little rougher than round 2 and 3. Normal summon Q. This is the one thing that the Cooltunes can do, though, is that they can normal summon quite a bit. Special summon out of the mix. So that's the first special summon. And at this point I'm like, what? And then here comes the imp. I was like, this makes so much sense. And it is in the Schism column, so I'm like, I have to change Schism here. So we're going to banish 2. we're going to banish Shek, and we're going to banish Dragon, and we're just going to make another Winder. And it's like, look, you negate the first Winder, I'm going to have the second Winder. I'll send the strongest monster on the field to the graveyard, being which is a Dark, in the form of the Harmonia. So we get that out of here. And we're kind of basically putting our opponent back under the Winder lock. Yeah, unfortunately, like, Winder is a win con. You know, it's Winder. Like, it is just so powerful. And we're about to see now. So, that Winder's off of the Schism. So we attack with both. 28 from the Mesh. I think, is it the Killing Shot in this one? Yeah, still in the battle phase. We'll use the Shaddoll fusion. We'll fuse the Mesh and Cartesia. We'll go into Construct for 28 for the final damage of game. And yeah, then trying to face down 2 Winders is always going to be nearly impossible. It's going to be very, very tricky to do without like a Dart Ruler. Anyway, into game number 3. So my opponent starts off by going into Cool Tune Trapmaker, using Rotary and Ghost Ogre. So I'm like, oh, maybe the hand's not the best. And again, this is the fail of the build of the deck, is like how I built it going first. Because I was like, right, I want to see some of my breakers. I've sided in breakers now. I've sided in my Lava Golems. I've sided in Lightning Storms. And again, you just see there's just way too many monsters. It's like, what? Why are there so many? Like, I shouldn't see that many monsters in my hand. I've got Foolish Burial, great, which would send a Grista. And then this is when my opponent completely, like, the power of Q in this duel is unbelievable. Because it does 2 things. 2 things in one. Which is just... like, prior, if the 2 cards on the top of the deck weren't the 2 cards on my top of the deck, I'd probably get to do something, because I go Foolish Burial, Grista. Grista would then allow me to fuse, unlocking my hand a little bit, gets me into Mech. Mech would be unaffected. Mech then searches me out Lev Shaddoll, it could search me out El Shaddoll Fusion, and then all of the other monsters in my hand start to become fusion fodder. But this Q is massive. So as we resolve Q, it's painful. It's painful. Yeah, I mean, it's only local, so even though we set a card, I'm like, okay, we let Q resolve. Yeah, I mean, it's local, so like Q, and it's like Lava Golem and Grista. It's like instantly banishes Lava Golem and then top decks the Grista. So I draw Grista for turn, and Grista's my fusion Foolish Burial target. So I've got 2 Gristas stuck in my hand, and I can't Foolish Burial either of them. I'm like, what do I even send here? Like, I send Beast to draw. I send Squamata to Foolish. Squamata only Foolish is another name. Maybe I get rid of Wendy. Wendy puts a monster on the field, but I can't do anything with that monster. I can't flip it. I can't do anything. And it's just like, I guess I try and fill up the graveyard, but there's just no way that I can perform a fusion summon. And like, yeah, that Q is the game winner, hands down. So Squamata, send Beast, draw a card. Do we get a fusion spell? No. Go Mathematician, basically Foolish Barrel, and it's like Ash on that, and I'm like, yeah, look at my hand, I've got nothing. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Unfortunately, not as good as I would have liked it to do, but it does show a bit of resistance in game number 2, which is kind of cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.